What if you don't need to live in pain and suffering? What if you could give up your karma and have a life of abundance and joy? What if you could start creating magic and miracles that you never thought were possible? Get ready to listen, share, and experience the magic that is you. Now, here's the host of Creating Abundance with Ease radio show, Dr. Helen Gitlevich.
Welcome. I'm Dr. Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show is Lies or Dare. Remember the fun game you used to play or didn't? And did you like it? Oh, I actually didn't. How much of your life have you spent actually playing the game of truth or dare, or lies or dare, or lies and dare, more likely, or not dare? Let's talk about the value of truth, value of lies, and what is actually works for you, and the value of dare. Because let's face it, even that the magic is everywhere, somehow we choose not magic. We choose problems, like at least some of you. I know with me, I choose lots of problems over the course of my life. I'm not saying how many years. It's just guess. I had a conversation with my daughter the other day, and we were looking at kind of like the history of our family, what happened, how she grew up, and my marriages, about her dad, my second husband, and things that happened, the illnesses. And it was pretty much one creation of a problem after another. It's pretty much I went into the dare kind of mode ever since I was born, I would say. Well, maybe not since birth, but ever since I was 3 years old. At three, I almost died. Six, 8, 10, 11, like a lot of ages, the problems were so severe that I almost died. And what is that? People would ask. It's like, well, that was my truth or dare, lies or dare game. Because this life is not about being serious. I was, but that's what created the problem. What if we actually step back and look at our lives, how it was, and instead of, oh, I'm not going to make mistakes again, or because if you say that, it's automatically you will repeat the same mistakes. I've done it, and millions of people done it. It's not about learning from mistakes. It's not about looking at the history and not doing the same thing over, because we do. It's about looking at stuff and not taking it seriously. Having a sense of humor about all the disasters that our lives been, and looking at it as a game of truth or dare, lies or dare, because majority of things was not truth or dare. It was lies or dare. So how much are we valuing those lies? Because most of the problems were lies or based on lies. I know with my marriage, like cheating and stuff, it was based on all the problems that we had was based on lies. And I love access consciousness tools because you can clear a lot of those things just by saying a magic phrase. So if you're not familiar with access consciousness, if you're not familiar with clearing statement, go to the website theclearingstatement.com and you'll find out more. For right now, just know it's You don't have to know what it is. It's just a vibrational frequency that clears a lot of energy. Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. It's getting out of the lies and dares of right and wrong, good and bad, whatever we decided that they are. Because the biggest lie there is that there is a right thing or right one, right question, right answer, or the wrong, good, bad. It's all lies. And I dare you finding out that there is actual the right and wrong. But that was just a bad joke. Sorry, couldn't help myself. Um, so just look at all of that. Puck and pod is point of creation, point of destruction, POC, POD. It's just going back in time and erasing whatever we created. All nine shorts, boys and beyonds are just short speak for stuff that we're clearing, like what's meaningful about it, what's meaningless about that. Just don't even bother learning it unless you want to learn it. This is about choosing different. So, whatever you decided is the right, the good, the perfect, and correct about your life, or the bad, the ugly, the wrong, awful, and mean and vicious, would you be willing to let it go, destroy, and uncreate it, all of it? Right, wrong, good, bad, but all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. So, what if it's about choosing something different, getting out of the games of lies or dare? Our lives and there because we pretty much dare ourselves to see how much lies we can take and how much problems we can tolerate. I remember from childhood, I used to read, yeah, don't look at me that. I used to read Balzac, used to read a lot of classical books. I was a nerd. I was literally a bookworm. I read a lot of books, and some of them were not age appropriate. Like I started reading Balzac. Um, a lot of those books are rated R, probably at age of 10 and 11. But in one of his books, I read that the person or human can tolerate a lot, then plus a lot more, just as much, and then as much more, and then just a little cartload. And I'm like, wow. And I guess I took it seriously because I created all of that in my life. So choosing to go through problems after problems, I guess I decided to choose to be a problem solver. I don't know how many of you are problem solvers and pride themselves on that because I pride myself that I can solve any problems. I can get out of any situation, how bad it is, doesn't matter. I can deal with that. And guess what? In order to be good at it, we have to create it. Not very smart. Maybe cute, but not very smart. So, this podcast is more about maybe introducing some other ideas instead of lies and dare, lies or dare, truth or dare, truth and dare. Instead of playing all those games, just choosing to be. What if that's how we get out of the problems? Instead of solving them and priding ourselves on how good we are on solving the problems, and especially, well, maybe you should pride yourself on creating problems. Just saying, what if you stop creating it? And who would you be without the problems? I wonder. At least that's what I asked myself. And what's interesting, there is so much magic in the world. And it's not about problem solving, it's about actually being and enjoying life and getting out of those games that we play with problems. Um, I was starting to get bored. And one of my fears is when I'm bored, is creating problems, creating some disaster. And this time I'm like, what else is possible? And by the way, this is another tool of access. What else is possible can get you out of boredom. And it's just so insidious when we are not paying attention, when we are unconscious. The problems just come up and we say, oh my God, that happened to me. Well, guess what? That didn't happen to you. Probably somewhere in subconscious, there was some point of view that created whatever was created. So, my invitation is to be more conscious, more aware of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Now that I've been in Access for a while, so I've done a lot of classes, and the recent one with archetypes and myth, the 7 days that Dr. Dan Hare and Gary Douglas created, was amazing class where it allowed me to look at the myth and archetypes that I'm used to, where I would create from them. And one of the archetypes was me creating disasters, like archetypes of problem solver, archetype of strong, independent woman. So, with that, a lot of points of view became more cognitive, more conscious. And I was talking to a few of my friends, and I'm like, it's kind of like I cannot say I'm bored. There is still a lot of things to do, like create a lot of classes. But with COVID, with a lot of social isolation, I'm living alone, and I'm like, don't have any pets at that time. My dog died a couple of years ago. My cat died close to 11 years now. Wow, that's been a long time. So I'm like, I would like to have a kitty, a kitten sometime in the future, sometime soon. And as I said, we create our lives. The next day, my daughter was walking pretty much not too far from her house, and a kitten followed her. That's how I got my Bella. She's amazing. And before the show, she was sitting and waiting for the podcast. Now I think she went to sleep. It's so adorable. And I'm not bored anymore, so I don't have to create problems. And it's time for our first break of the show. Uh, you've been listening to me, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on Creating Abundance with Is radio show on Inspired Choices Network. And when we'll be back, I'll be talking more about maybe not getting into problem, maybe about truth, maybe about lies, or maybe about Bella. So we'll be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Creating Abundance with Ease show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome forward, everyone. You've been listening to me, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our radio show is Lies or Dare. And let's talk a little bit about lies. Because a lot of times we are so used to, like, you have to tell the truth, only truth, nothing but the truth. And what is truth, actually? Because a lot of times when you think you tell the truth, people look at you like you're lying. Mark Twain, a long time ago, said that if you'd like to lie, if you'd like to hide the truth, you can tell the truth and people will not believe you, because the lies have to be within kind of like reasonable or real. Truth does not have to be in those limitations. And you see a lot in the sci-fi movies. It's like they tell the truth and people never believe them. It's exactly that. Because people can hear only what they know. People can hear only whatever they're willing to hear. So when you tell them outside their judgment, if it doesn't match their judgment, they cannot hear it and they cannot receive it. And a lot of times, if you tell the truth, it will come back with daggers attached. How often did it happen to you? Or, as I said before, you created, but for the sake of an argument, look over your life, and when you lied, people liked you better, didn't they? And when you told the truth, how many friends did you actually lose by telling them the truth? And by the way, the famous expression, the truth is in the eye of the beholder. Um, I like the joke about three blind sages that came to the elephant and each described the elephant in its own way. One described, oh, I know what elephant looks like. The elephant is like a snake. The other one, no, 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 no. Elephant is like a column. No, elephant is like a wall. Guess what? Each one was touching a different part of elephant. One was touching the leg, one was touching the tail, and the other one was touching the body. Each one was telling the truth, and each one was telling a lie because none of them described an elephant, and all of them described an elephant. So, how much of our judgment holds us back and makes us blind to what is in front of us? Because in order for us to see what's true, we have to kind of like give up our judgments. Because and every judgment is a lie, by the way. Every solid thing that you believe in is a lie. Truth, okay, let's like backtrack a little bit. What amazing too about access. Don't, by the way, don't believe me. Don't, yeah, because I lie. You know the famous, how do I, the famous like the liar comes to the king and says, "I'm a liar," and they're like, because I think the premise was to tell a riddle that nobody can solve. So the guy comes in and says, "I'm a liar," and they're like, and I lie all the time. So if he is a liar, then he lies all the time. But he says he's a liar and he lies all the time. So he must tell the truth that he is a liar. But then that's not a lie. And so on and so forth. And people go in circles. That's how we a lot of times deal with judgments. Because the easiest way to know if it's true or a lie is look at the energy. Whatever feels light is true because truth is always light. You know the expression, truth will set you free? Yeah, true. Whatever is true is always light. Whatever is a lie, always heavy. And light and heavy is so different for everyone. People say, I don't know what's light is, what's heavy is, what true is, what's light is. Close your eyes unless you're driving. If you're listening live or if you're watching it, because now we are on TV. How does it get any better than that? So if you're watching it, if you're listening to the podcast, close your eyes and a couple of choices. Either think of a moment where you were holding a newborn, maybe a few days old baby, and look into the baby's eyes, or imagine yourself in the nature, like in the woods, on the beach, but make sure that there are no people because people lie. Just you and nature, you and trees, you and mountains, you and water, somewhere in like island and Caribbeans where there is nobody there and you're just vacationing, you're not stranded there. And just feel the energy. Drop your barriers and expand. And just feel that energy because nature never lies. The newborns never lie. And that's how you know what's true for you. Feels good, doesn't it? And now, with all of that, just allow yourself to kind of like erase that. I know you don't want to, but erase that and look back to when somebody lied to you. It can be at work, it can be at school, it can be um, anywhere. And just allow yourself to feel that energy of a lie, betrayal, and allow yourself just to be there with that lie. How does it feel? Not so light, does it? Okay, let's take all that energy and destroy and uncreate that. Let it go. Right and wrong, good and bad, pack and pat, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And that's how we actually clear the lies. But that's how you can function in the world, looking at what's true for you and what's a lie. Whatever is light is true, and whatever is heavy is a lie. So you don't have to guess if people are lying to you. You don't have to think, oh my God, I don't know if he or she is cheating on me. Just ask a question and see what the energy is. That's simple. I'm not kidding you. That's simple. That's the truth part of the truth or dare. So I dare you to play with the tool for the next few days, few months, few years, or ever. And you don't have to do it all the time. This is about being in the question instead of going to conclusion. Because if you have a conclusion, nothing that doesn't match that conclusion can come in. And conclusion is always a lie. So sometimes we even solidify the truth. We're like, but that's true. Yeah, it was true in that 10 seconds, in that moment. But is it actually true all the time? Let's say we have a judgment about somebody. She's a bitch. Is that true 24/7? Can she be kind? Maybe not to you, but to somebody else. But if we solidify that, a lot of times what happens is it's, um, if we solidify that, that person will always be a bitch to you because that's the expectation and that's a judgment. And even if she's kind, you might not see it because you judged her this way. So all the judgment and conclusions and computation you have about people in your life, people around you, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate all the archetypes, all the mess you created about them? Thank you. I think you said yes. Right and wrong, good and bad, pack and pat, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And what if it's that simple? Just letting go of the lies, letting go of the dares of your lives, and just allow yourself to be you with no judgment, with no points of view, and be in total allowance of other people, whatever they choose. They can choose lies, they can choose dares, or they can choose truth or not. Just saying. And it's time for our second break of the show. And you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on Inspired Choices Network. And we will be back soon.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Magic and abundance are everywhere. What if you could tap into abundance and start creating your life with complete and total ease? Working with Dr. Helen Gitlevich will give you exactly that, total ease in creating abundance in your life. Dr. Gitlevich creates classes all over the world, both in person and online. She works with you to create abundance with your money, with your body, with your relationships, with all areas of your life with total ease. Connect with Dr. Helen Gitlevich at creatingabundancewithease.com. Her contribution in your world will be a noticeable gift in a very short period of time. This is the Creating Abundance with Ease show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
So, welcome forward, everyone. And you've been listening to me, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our topic is lies or dare, or lies and dare. It's whatever you look at, how your life been up till this moment. And what if you can choose something different, not based on the past, not even based on the future that you've decided, but on what's light for you right now, what's true for you. Because truth or dare, when it's interesting because I was looking over my life up to like last few years that I've been doing Access and Akashic Records. And a lot of times what I found that rarely would I choose what's true for me. So in that game, truth or dare, I was choosing the dare part or the lies, but not what's true. Because as I said earlier, whatever is true feels lighter. Whatever is heavy is a lie. So rarely would I feel what's light, what's fun for me. And by the way, what's true for us is usually fun, ease, joy. Now I'm choosing more based on that. And even with Bella, like my new kitten, as I said, um, we found a little stray who is listening to our podcast right now. And as soon as I said her name, she decided to leave. She's like, no, not part of it. And she follows the energy so clearly. She knows what works for her, she knows what doesn't. How often, like in my life, I never knew what works for me. It was always about other people. It was always to please other people. It was about their needs, their desires. It was about them. And I found out that it didn't work because at a certain point I ended up with open heart surgery, basically with a broken heart, as you can say energetically. And when I kind of like got out of that situation, I started looking at, okay, so what do I actually desire? And I had no clue. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I would choose. So with access tools, I started learning. Okay, that feels light, so let's try that. Hmm, I like that. Cool. And the more I tried things that were light and fun and ease, it's interesting how my life has changed, but also life of others. Because you know how they say in the airplane, in emergency situation, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first, and then on the child or everybody else. But somehow in life, we put the oxygen mask on everybody else, and then a lot of times we pass out. But we also not helping others when we pass out. So the idea of truth or dare, lies or dare, that game is not to play it. I don't know. probably will say how old I am, because one of my favorite movies when I was growing up was War Games. I don't know if you remember that, with Matthew Broderick, and I don't remember who was the actress when he was still a kid. And the idea, he was playing war games with Pentagon computer. And then the computer decided, the AI was going through all the simulations of the war games. And the final, kind of like they almost ended up with a nuclear war based on the computer. At the end of the movie, the computer says, well, the only way to win that game is not to play it. How about a game of chess? So the same thing with the life that been up till this moment for me, where I was playing that lies and dare game, is not to play that game and just choose for me, choose what works for me, but not out of like, oh, I'll just do it only for me. No, it's about what works for everybody. What contribution can I be? What can I contribute to other people? What can I receive from other people? Because a lot of times there is one way street. People either kind of like take constantly, or they give constantly. And usually, if they give constantly, they have somebody who is taking it constantly. There is no contribution, because the contribution itself is two-way street. It's gifting and receiving simultaneously. There is receiving and gifting, and gifting and receiving, just like nature. When nature gifts, doesn't expect anything in return, but at the same time, nature receives from just being the giver. We forget that. We forget what actual gifting is, what contribution is, because we're so taught that we have to give. If we receive something, we have to give as much. And that's another lie. It's another game of dare. I dare you to give me as much as I give you. Um, who's measuring? You, me, or another impartial person? And what if it's not important? What if it's not important how much of gifting and receiving happens, as long as it's simultaneous? I never forget, I was talking to somebody on a plane, and I wasn't even like thinking about what I was contributing or not contributing. But at the end, that woman gifted me something. And my normal reaction, like old reaction, would have been, oh, no, 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 thank you, don't have to. But then I received that gift with open heart. It was a stranger gifting me something, and I received it. And the gift was to her in my receiving it completely, with completely open heart, open arms, whatever you call it. And she was so happy that I received it. And there was no requirement of being, just being with that. That's kind of like my invitation for everyone. What if we don't play games of like measuring and judging and lies, and just be with that? How much more fun can we have? And my little kitten right now teaching me a lot about the contribution. because she receives freely as much as she desires and then she walks away. But when she receives, there is such a gift in that. To me, it goes simultaneously, and she receives, and I receive, and then when she gives, I receive, and it's so much fun. That's all I can say. If you never had a pet or a cat or a dog, think of kids, think of your friends, think of back to your childhood when you didn't have the point of view of the judging, how much you give, how much you take, because kids don't. They just sharing, they just being, they just a whole bunch of fun and joy. Majority of the kids. I know there might be like one or two that not quite, but to be honest with you, I've heard of it, but I've never met a kid that is not being contribution and receiving contribution. They don't care. They're just like nature. They're just being and being the magic, being that free spirit. So, what if we be like kids, or at least more like kids? That's kind of like where that getting out of the games comes in, because especially in relationship, how often do we play the games in relationship? How often do we actually instead of being who we are, we create a persona or an image of the person that we think or we judged what the other person needs and would like to have, but that's not how the relationship or how the communion works. And it's time for our third and final break of the show. And I know you don't want to go on a break, but we'll be talking more about relationship, about the games that we play in the relationship. And you've been listening to me, Dr. Helen Gitlevich, on Creating Abundance with Ease radio show, podcast on Inspired Choices Network. And we'll be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
This is the Creating Abundance with Ease show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome forward, everyone. And you've been listening to Dr. Helen Gitlevich, myself, on Creating Abundance with Ease. And our show topic today is lies or dare. And yes, I do have my little cheat sheet to kind of like know what I'm supposed to say, what I'm supposed to do at each break. And yeah, I'm not perfect. I don't remember stuff and don't have to. This is about being, this is about choosing, this is about creating the life that works for you instead of lies or dare that we've been playing all our lives. So, what if it's much easier than we think? And how many of those lies that we live don't even belong to us? We talk a lot about tools of access, and one of the major ones is, who does that belong to? So, who is making us play that game? Whose lies and whose dares are those? A lot of times it can be our parents, it could be our spouses, our significant others. And we started talking about relationship and the lies in the relationship and how much we create the personas and images based on people's judgments of us, or based on judgments of that ideal relationship, ideal mate, ideal, whatever ideal. And then we can't, like, those lies, and not lies. They dare us to be that. And then when we are not, they judge us. And a lot of times that creates a lot of turmoil and problems. And kind of like some of those things break the relationship, because when we are on the best behavior in the beginning, or lying about who we are, and it's not cognitive, it's not conscious, by the way. This is all subconscious, unconscious, based on our beliefs, based on a lot of times those images, actually, we believe they're real, they're true. And then the idea is to start letting go of those and just being. Who am I today? And what grand and glorious adventure can I have? What contribution can I be to myself, to the world, to Earth? And what if it's about just choosing to be who we are? There is no, um, and a lot of times that's what feels light, being us. Heavy is not being us. So look at your life, look at yourself right now in that moment, and just ask, who am I today? And who I would like to be today? Because maybe you are still having those barriers, barricades to who you are, and still playing the roles and dares of other people. And let's do it all together. Who does this belong to? Who does this image belong to? Who does this belong? Who does this belong to? And if there's a problem in your life, look at that and ask, what is that? Where it came from? Can I change it? And if yes, how can I change it? Because a lot of times, and it's not about looking for the answer for those questions. By the way, questions in themselves are enough. If you start asking those questions, if you're just being the question, a lot of times things start shifting, because it's not about the right answer to those questions. It's about the universe answering. It's about divine, God, call it whatever you want. Hearing the question and going, it's like, oh, cool. Let's see what we can create here. Because we are co creators with the universe. We are co creators with every molecule in the universe. And we can ask those to create with us, not against us. Because up till this moment, a lot of you, a lot of us created against ourselves, based on our fears, based upon our judgments, based basically on the lies and dares that we created in our lives. But what if instead we start creating based on our desires and just ask, what would I like to have in my life right now? And what would it take for me to create that? And the more question, what would it take? What else is possible? What can I contribute? And what can I receive today? All of those questions opens the door to possibility, to infinite possibilities. And then you can choose. That's how creation works. This is about you choosing more for you instead of against you, as I said. This is more about choosing what might look like impossibility, but what if everything is possible? What if you can choose based on your choices, based on what's true for you instead of what lies you've been telling yourself? And what if you just choose? And we have just a couple of minutes left in the show. Just wanted to say, if you're looking for change, if you actually desire change, I'm teaching and facilitating classes around the world. Well, maybe not around the world right now because the world is pretty much on social isolation, but there are a couple of classes that's coming up in US. One is a 3-day body class in Dallas, and one in Florida, in Miami. Um, Dallas class is no, October 30th through November 1st, and Miami is November 6th through 8th. I'm also doing an introduction to creating abundance with ease class in Dallas at 7 p.m. the evening before the body class on October 29, and it will be open live and online. So you can sign up on my website, and that will be um, creatingabundancewithease.com or helengitlevich.accessconsciousness.com. I hope to see you someplace, somewhere, somehow, sometime around the world or online. And let's see what we can create together. Because as I said, magic is everywhere. And we can create based on our choices, our desires, instead of fears and something we resist and react to. Because the more we resist and react to something, the more we create that. This is about choosing more of what's true for you, what's light, what's fun, what is ease. And this is more about you creating in a world that is totally different. And how much more can we create together? What if we actually choose more love, gratitude, more of us being in that space of being in communion with everything in the universe? And next week, we'll see each other on the same podcast, same rhythm.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Creating Abundance with Ease radio show. Dr. Helen Gitlevich will return next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have fun using the tools of the week in your life and start creating magic in your life and your body.